It's Pride Month, and we're celebrating with a dash of sass and a sprinkle of sequins. Join us as we revisit the outrageous road trip comedy To Wong Foo Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, and discuss the importance of representation and the enduring power of drag. Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. Happy Pride! This week we are talking about the 1995 comedy To Wong Foo Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping.
That was so good.
I heard
Housekeeping.
I heard it this time. If you love the podcast and want to support us, here's a few ways that you can.
Please leave us a review. Any app will do. When you leave us a review and you rate us, then we have access to more listeners. We get pushed up the charts, and it's a win-win for everyone. Yay.
Calling all beauty lovers, we're partnering with Noxeema Beauty to bring you top-notch makeup that'll give you nostalgia vibes. I'm so excited, Jackie. We have a new affiliate partner.
Yay.
If you want to check out their stuff, it's really cool. So they have eyeshadow that looks like a CD. They just launched a lip gloss that looks like a little pager thing with a mirror. It's so adorable. It's so our vibe, and hopefully the listeners' vibes. If you guys want to go check out their makeup, head to noxeemabeauty.com. You could see it here listed down below if you're watching on video, and show notes if you want to go check it out. But it's Noxeema Beauty, NOSTABEAUTY.com. Just use the code NMLF, that's no more late fees, for 20% off.
And if you want exclusive content, stickers, lives, and access to our Burn Ought Spotify playlist, as well as a mini-sode with Zack, because we can't keep on topic to save our lives. So we do a deep dive on actors and actresses that we may not be that fond of.
We hate.
Head
it's
on
haterific. Hateration episode.
Head on over to patreon.com/no more late fees, become a Patreon bestie, and you'll get access to the tea.
But we are not alone. Joining us this week is returning guest Zack. Welcome back, Zack.
Hello.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
We're so happy you're back. Anytime we get to do an episode with you. Oh yeah, you've been waiting.
We just keep you chained in the back. Get down, I said.
It's fine. I've been in worse positions.
Oh, love you, Zack.
Sometimes I'm just like, am I too much?
Never enough.
Not at all.
Never enough. So welcome back. And if you want to get to know Zack a little bit better, come back later this week as we rank our favorite movies featuring drag queens on our bonus episode. Or you can also check out our other episodes with Zack, Get Over It and All I Want to Do. His episodes, along with his bonus interviews, will be linked in our show notes below.
Let's get into this movie, y'all.
Let's do it.
Elite Manhattan drag queens Vida Boheme and Noxeema Jackson impress regional judges in competition, securing berths in the Nationals in Los Angeles. When the two meet pathetic drag novice Chichi Rodriguez, one of the losers that charmed Vida and Noxeema agree, well, Noxeema not so much agree, but to take the hopeless youngster under their joined wing. Soon, the three set off on a madcap road trip across America and struggle to make it to Los Angeles in time. The movie stars Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, R.I.P., John Leguizamo, Stockard Channing, Blythe Danner, Arliss Howard, and Chris Penn. The movie was directed by Beeben Kidron and written by Douglas Carter Bean. You can watch it currently on Tubi or rent it from Apple TV, YouTube Prime for $3.99. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again,
The best, would play on repeat,
5-day rental,
would watch again.
2-day rental,
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
and same-day rental.
Trash, garb like Pennsylvania. In this movie.
What do you have against Pennsylvania?
I don't know, but I didn't like that they weren't nice to Miss Vida Boheme. That's
Boheme.
Boheme. I'm gonna say Boheme. That's how
I didn't want to say
it.
anything. I'm like, I thought it was Boheme, but
It
that's
is.
fine.
That's how I say it.
Whatever you want, dear. So, Zach, what is your Y2K rating of To Wong Foo?
I would buy it. For sure. For sure. And yeah, definitely. I mean, when I first saw this, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I instantly was like, this is not like anything I've ever seen before. And I am so like enamored with it. It's so fun.
I had this on VHS. I don't have it anymore, but younger Danielle bought it. Jackie?
And we had it on VHS as well. Miss Terry, my mother, was a drag queen connoisseur. Anything to do with a drag queen, she was all over. I always joke with her. I'm like, your life goal is to just be best friends with a drag queen. One day we'll get there.
Oh my gosh, she
So,
is the moment.
yes, she just loves a fabulous time and
Who doesn't?
wigs, right? So definitely would buy in the Conley household.
Well, let's get into the box office. So this movie had a budget of $30 million and it made $47.8 million worldwide. It was number one at the box office in the United States for the first 2 weeks it was in the theater. And let's see what Lil Raj had to say. So Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times wrote, "What is amazing is how the movie manages to be funny and amusing while tippy-toeing around sex, controversy, and any originality in the plot. Credit for that belongs to Swayze, Snipes, and Leguizamo. Surprisingly good at playing drag queens." While Ebert gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4, his colleague Gene Siskel gave a more positive review and predicted an Oscar nomination for Swayze. He did not get it.
I fully agree with Siskel. Why was Patrick Swayze not nominated?
See, and then for me, I'm saying I would say the same, but for Wesley Snipes. I mean, again, they're all fantastic, fantastic. But I mean, just Wesley Snipes is like transcendent in this movie. Like, if I had never seen anything he ever done, I would never believe that this is the same guy who played Blade.
Yes.
I also just feel like, dare I say, this role was a bigger risk for him than
Absolutely.
because he was the action star at that time. Like, when this movie came out, I mean, it's Patrick Swayze. Like, everyone knows Patrick Swayze. But I have to say, like, who was in the box office more at this time period? It was Wesley. You know, John Leguizamo was known as a comedian. I mean, him taking this role was a risk too, as well. But like,
yeah,
we've talked about this a few times on the show when it comes to the Black community, when it comes to, you know, representation of gay characters, especially in the 90s in Black movies. It, you know, has been caricatures, it's been looked down upon. It was a bumpy road to where we are now in comparison.
yeah.
And so to see that one of the biggest action stars, Black men, star in this, and all of them committed to it,
yes,
was amazing. But going back to Roger Ebert's review and why he talked about originality, multiple critics pointed out the film's similarities to The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and said that To Wong Foo was subpar in comparison due to the predictability of its plot, script, and the tonal unevenness. So I think the decision to have the lead spend most of the film in drag was like a huge issue because most drag queens aren't in drag 24/7.
Right.
But I think the story explains why they're in drag 24/7, or why they have to be in this situation. But like, I get what they're saying.
Yes, I that's definitely been brought up as well, where I never really noticed When I first watched it, but also I didn't know much about drag culture, so I didn't know that that's not typically what a drag not being in drag all the time. But
Right.
you're right. I mean, it does make sense in the town because they are masquerading as three women,
Right.
and it's just a safety issue. But then you do have those scenes where they're just alone in their rooms and they are still in full makeup, full wigs, full.
Yeah.
But I'm not complaining because it's freaking phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I think the choice of them doing that also was for the actors because they were fully committing, you know,
Yeah,
there were moments of some friction. We could talk about that a little bit later.
yeah.
And when they talked about friction, when they were arguing or anything happened, they would look at themselves and be like, we're in full drag, or like we're in dresses and we're about to try to beat each other's ass. And
Mhm.
like that would kind of take them out of it. I think it helped with their portrayal.
Yeah,
Doesn't
definitely.
Wesley Snipes, he's a method actor anyway. Like,
Yeah. So we learn a little bit about that in Blade, and I think we'll get into that a little bit
okay.
more when we get into Blade Trinity, because I think that's where it's really talked about of him like becoming Blade, essentially. Like Ryan Reynolds has gone on record saying, and I've never met Wesley Snipes. I've only met Blade because he gets so
Interesting.
method. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't get an Oscar nomination for Swayze, but we did get a Golden Globe for Best Actor nomination and a Best Supporting Actor nomination for John Leguizamo. So a little upset that Wesley was snubbed,
Yes.
but am I surprised? No.
No. No, but it's funny because what you were saying about, especially at the time it came out, for three straight action, well, not so much John Leguizamo, but two of the biggest action stars and like, quote unquote masculine macho dudes
Mm-hmm.
doing a movie like this, but not only doing it in a way that's like, oh, we're gonna make fun of it or we're gonna be silly and like it's a big joke. They took this so seriously
So
and
Yeah.
seriously.
they're so committed, as you said. Like, and I think that's why this is so still so great is like none of them are just poking fun and making fun of who they're playing. They're fully embodying these characters and playing them like so just perfectly. And I think that is just really it's I don't think anything like that's been done since, really. I mean, where you take someone who's so famous for being an action star and then doing this movie, not to just be like, "Oh, look, this is gonna be so funny, you guys. This is gonna be hilarious. Watch me play a drag queen." But no, like, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna treat this just as serious as all my other roles, and it's just really cool to watch.
I 100% agree. I think it was important that these actors played the role, like you said, because I know a lot of complaints were the fact that they did not get, men that were actually drag queens. But I think you had to have straight men in the 90s playing these
Yes,
roles to have,
to get
like,
the movie made.
yeah, to get it made and for like the everyday Joe Schmo to be like, I'm kind of interested because my fave's in it, or
Exactly.
and also if you make fun of it, like they could both crack your necks. Like I don't know about John
Right.
Leguizamo,
No,
but
absolutely.
and it embraced the idea of what masculinity really is. But before we dive into cast and crew, let's hear a word from our pod pals.
Hello, kids of the 80s, 90s, and beyond. Radical Ryan Hunter here from the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. Join me along with everyone's favorite brother, David, and the movie geek Rob every Friday as we discuss everything from movies, TV, video games, music, action figures, and more. Every week's another adventure. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most podcasting platforms. Hope to see you there, radical ones.
All right, we're back and we're going to talk about cast and crew, how these stud muffins made it into this movie.
Patrick Swayze earned the role of Sage Vida Boheme by improvising a 30-minute monologue inspired by the bullying he suffered as a boy studying ballet in Texas.
That's right. I forgot that he actually was a dancer.
Yeah.
Johnny Castle, Dirty Dancing.
I knew his wife was a dancer. I just
Mhm.
forgot that he actually studied too.
Didn't they meet in dance class? I
Dancing.
mean,
I think
yeah.
so, yeah.
I think weren't they competitive or maybe not? Maybe I'm just making up a whole backstory for
Tell
him.
us more.
Well, then what happened was
Multiple unnamed male directors passed on directing, while British director Bevan Kidron happily accepted the job. I'm not surprised.
Yep.
Oh, Viggo Mortensen auditioned for the role of Vida. I didn't take French. I took Spanish, Espanol. So
But have you seen Rent? They
And?
sing La Vie Boheme.
Oh, they sing La Vie Boheme.
Matt Dillon, Robert Downey Jr., Rob Lowe, and James Spader were also considered for the roles. I'm going to say no to all of that.
I will say, though, Rob Lowe would make a very pretty woman.
Very. But
gorgeous.
He's got some accusations back in the
right. Let's move on. So anyway.
Just saying.
So they were considered or they auditioned? They were just considered.
Yeah, they were just considered.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they were offered the roles.
Speaking of not only accusations, but we've just witnessed the crazy of Mel Gibson. He briefly flirted with the idea of playing the part of Vida Boheme. No, absolutely not.
No, he's a garbage human being. Yes. However, we're just going back in time and we're there. It's not like I couldn't see him in the role. I actually could.
I think is the scene of what women want.
Yep.
And I feel like he would have committed to it as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm glad we got Patrick, because then it'd be really hard to talk about this movie now.
Yes.
Gary Oldman claims he was originally offered one of the lead drag roles, but decided he didn't want to do the part. Like, this would be another role that required extensive makeup after his experience playing Dracula in 92.
I could see a little like serious black swag in there.
That man could do anything. I love him. Love him so much.
It's so crazy how this movie is not only just perfectly cast in general, but it's like literally a perfect time capsule of like Hollywood movie stars at this, in this period. Like, this was it. It was Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and like, John Leguizamo, I would liken him to like a little bit of like a Jim Carrey, where he was more of a character actor. And I feel like he literally knocked it out of the park in it, like in Romeo and Juliet, in this. Like, he's just so talented and so diverse, and like, oh, he's great. And when I was a kid, Chi-Chi was definitely my favorite. And then as I've gotten older and rewatched it a bunch, like, it's all about Noxeema. Like, she's everything.
I have such conflicting feelings about John Leguizamo, because I feel at times that he has been an a-hole in some of the things he says, but then there are so many roles that he's done that I very much appreciate. And I appreciate when he talks about like anti-Blackness within the Latino community. And so having those conversations, but he is one of those people, I think let me fact check before I call it out, but he said some things that I gave him side eye on. But did you guys see that very recently, actually, like a few weeks ago, he came out because it was the anniversary for this movie, and he came out and said that him and Patrick Swayze almost got into fisticuffs, and was kind of talking about that. And Patrick Swayze talked about that whole situation in his book as well. And Patrick Swayze's brother came out and was pretty much like telling John Leguizamo he can kick rocks, like why bring this up after my brother's dead, kind of thing. Like, you could have done this when my brother brought it up in his book, kind of situation. So that
absolutely.
was messy.
And as I recall, again, I do remember like an interview where John Leguizamo really was talking about it, and the description or the explanation that they gave, again, I didn't read Patrick Swayze's book, was more along the lines of John Leguizamo like doing a lot of improv and just ad-libbing and just going for it, and Patrick was very like, let's follow the script, let's follow the schedule, let's do what's asked. And I think that's kind of where their animosity bloomed from. But yeah, it is a little disheartening and disappointing to hear that about the drama on set, because like on screen, but then again, it works for the characters because they don't like each other for like a huge chunk of the movie.
Right.
So whatever came on screen was just perfect.
Well, I think there was some butting of heads with Patrick and Wesley as well, because when that like beef happened, or there's one particular altercation where they almost came to, Wesley was like, pulled John to the side and was like, I got your back because I'm sick of this shit, so
wow.
Yeah. There was
Interesting.
That is interesting.
So the film featured dozens of New York City drag performers and underground stars in small roles or as featured extras. This included RuPaul, Joey Arias,
Arias.
Lady Bunny, Misunderstood, Candace Kane, Flotilla DeBarge, Miss Coco Peru, and Quentin Crisp. And like I was clocking the ones that I didn't know. I was like, oh, there's Lady Bunny. Oh, there's Coco Peru. Like it was very exciting for me to watch that opening scene and take note of all the drag queens I've come to know and love.
I do
Absolutely.
love, you know, obviously when you think of this movie, you think of the birdcage and that Robin. I totally forgot Robin Williams was in this movie.
Yeah.
He is deranged in the one scene he's in. I'm like, what is even happening right now?
He
Well, it's like, you know, we're paying the big bucks for Robin Williams. You got to give us everything you got.
Right.
He expressed interest in a possible role, but did not want to distract from the three leads, so he opted for that smaller cameo. Which,
Okay.
you know, every time I hear something about something he's done that he did in the past, I'm like, oh, this is why we loved him and we miss him
he's a
so much.
literal angel. I mean, yeah, he's Mr. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah.
I mean, who else could you get to play that role other than Robin Williams?
Right?
Really no one. Maybe Nathan Lane.
He should have played. Who could he have been in this film?
He could not have been in that town. There's no way.
No way. No way.
Maybe like the announcer person at the drag show.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Oh, I love that.
So let's dive in.
Here we go.
I'm ready. So
Okay.
we're at Webster Hall, which is, I've said many a times because for some reason it keeps showing up in different movies. When Mama was clubbing back in the day in New York, I was going to Webster Hall. And when they would have their male review shows, I was going to Webster Hall. And I saw Gym Class Heroes for the first time at Webster Hall. So,
oh wow,
great times, Webster Hall. I know what a cock ring, Webster Hall.
Zack said he wasn't invited to those events.
It's fine. I'm just used to missing out on things.
Oh, you were probably too young, Zack. I would
Yes.
have gotten arrested for taking you.
You're a little baby, Zack.
I mean, well, the movie opens with that amazing montage of both of them getting ready. And again, young Zack questioning his sexuality, seeing Patrick's Swayze as he got out of the shower was very transformative for me.
Oh.
And wow, he's just so pretty. Isn't he?
So pretty.
So pretty.
There's that photo, I just had it up, of him, and I think it was a promo shot taken for People magazine for this movie, but he's like in a black satin slip dress and he has like full makeup and his hair's all coiffed. And it is so gorgeous. I was even literally thinking like 10 minutes ago, like, I just want to print that out and frame it and put it in because it's just so beautiful.
Yes.
It should just say To Wong Foo.
Yes.
And then just say Patrick Swayze instead of Julie Newmar.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
That is cute.
Canva, here I come.
So we see them getting dressed.
Yes. And I've seen a lot of people make fun of this. They're like, since when could two drag queens afford such huge apartments in New York City?
Right.
And who cares? They're amazing.
We know Vida came from money though.
That is a fair point.
But she didn't get her parents' money though. They like kicked her to the curb.
But did she have a trust fund?
Maybe she was a man in finance. 6'5".
I mean, because if you look at her outfits, her outfits are expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
She's living like a 1940s, 1950s movie star.
But I question that because then why couldn't they afford another plane ticket?
Yep. Okay, see? You got it. Okay, that makes sense. Bottom line, they're all poor. Okay.
So yeah, they're getting dressed because they're getting ready for the drag show, Miss Drag Queen USA contest. No, that's the one at the end. Sorry.
I think this was Drag Queen of the Year. No.
It had to be a regional thing because they were going to the nationals, were they not?
Yeah, so it's the Miss Drag Queen USA New York edition or Tri-State Area edition. I don't know.
It's
Answer.
Webster Hall.
Yeah.
And also, the opening montage is set to I Am Body Beautiful by Salt and Pepper, which is like the most perfect song they could have chosen. And I'm not even kidding, like, even with like my family members, like, just out of nowhere, I'll be like, where is the body? And I'm grateful that they know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, they would just look at me and be like, are you okay? Are you all right there, Zach? But yes, it's so fun, and you definitely just in those like first 3 minutes, you know exactly who each of these people are. You can definitely tell like Noxeema is definitely more fun, and Vida is definitely more graceful, I should say. She takes herself a little more seriously, and I think that's what's really fun about it is that, you know, they didn't at the time, they could have just been like, okay, 3 drag queens, who cares about their personalities? Them in wigs is enough. But they gave each of them a distinct persona and a personality, and I think that's what's really amazing, especially again for the time that this was released.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And not stereotypical either,
exactly.
because I feel like the portrayal of gay men in cinema, especially at that time, was just like kind of like Nathan Lane in The Birdcage,
Okay.
which
Yes.
just way over the top,
Hmm.
overly feminine,
Right.
and I just
And not
thought
to
they did
say
a good
that
job.
they don't show signs of that in this, but there's more layers and they're definitely more well-rounded characters. And I think like I would say like out of all of them, the one that's most like Nathan Lane in the Birdcage would definitely be Chi Chi.
Yes.
And again, it's very entertaining to watch, very fun, and just all of her lines are just gold.
Yes. With Chi Chi, we start seeing her, she's already running late. You see
Hmm.
her getting harassed. So you really do get like a little bit of reality that
Yes.
these drag queens are not living in a bubble.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, it was also very good to like show the audience why these characters would feel because if you come into this like I did when I was younger and I knew nothing about drag culture or why anybody would be discriminatory towards someone who was a drag queen,
Mhm.
in that moment you definitely it sets up why they're so nervous in this small town, and it
Yeah.
definitely lets us see
Yes.
like, oh, okay, so then this is why they have to pretend and this is why they're nervous.
I love the confidence Chi Chi has.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell Chi Chi that she ain't a bad bitch and she's not going to win this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love when I can't remember if it's before or after the competition, but they're like outside and they're like, why is he crying? And they're like,
Yeah, it's
little
after
Latin
because she
boy
loses.
drag.
Yeah.
Why are you crying?
I love that when they say who wins, that it's a tie between
Mhm.
Noxeema but like Chi-Chi's like, wait a minute, you didn't call my name.
Hmm.
Just shock. Like, I don't understand.
Well,
It's
she
not
starts
comprehend.
walking towards the center of the stage when he's announcing it. She's like, I'm right here, I'm ready. And oh my God. And then when she doesn't get called, to even make it more about her, she has to run across the stage and then trip in the middle, dead center, and then like pick herself up and just like hobble off the stage. And it's so funny and so again, we were saying, it really just shows us in the first couple minutes exactly who each of these people are, and
Yes.
then and we can just enjoy the ride.
And it shows the skill. Like if you look at their outfits, like
Hmm.
Chi-Chi's in comparison to Noxeema
Mhm.
and
Yes,
Vida, you could tell that Chi-Chi's is more, it gives Party City. I
right.
hate to be that cruel, but like it's
It's
cheaper,
it's
not
beginner
as,
drag
yes.
101.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of trying to show that she's more of a novice or she's just getting into this
Mm-hmm.
world, but like just by judging by her character, she very much just wants to already be at the level of Vida and
Yes.
Noxeema, and of course she has to go through steps. But
Yeah.
I just think it's just so fun. You know exactly what kind of movie this is going to be. You know exactly who these people are, and then it really does just do a wonderful job of like just setting us all up for what's to come.
100%. They take Chi-Chi with them to the restaurant. They're all at
Yes.
it
Well,
going
first
to,
they, like you said, they discover her on the steps crying because she lost,
right.
and then we get the famed "Little Latin Boy in Drag." Why are you crying?
I
And
love how they're just talking about him right there, as
Yes.
if he can't hear the entire
Exactly.
conversation prior.
And that keeps going. Like that's a repeated bit the
Mhm.
whole movie, and it's so genius.
And
And
then because they do tie, like Danielle said, and so they both win plane tickets to go to California for the national competition.
yes.
But Vida is an old soul. She just wants to take care of people. And so she's like, we need to take this. She was really his drag mother. Like, we need to take him under
Yes.
our wing
Yeah.
and teach him the art of drag.
Yes.
Noxeema is reluctant.
Noxeema's like, I don't have time for this shit. Like, I am not picking up orphans. Okay. I don't do charity.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
says the
know?
quote, "Don't be giving me that bleeding heart Sally Struthers look." Yeah. Oh my
And I
God.
think they're still toying with like, how can we make this work? And that's when they
Yes.
go to the restaurant and Vida sees mother herself, Julie Newmar, a signed print from her, and says, this is the sign that we need to cash in these plane tickets. We'll get a car and all three of us will go. And like, are they expecting like Chi-Chi's just going to be able to enter the national composition
Yeah,
without a
so there's a
title?
little bit of a plot hole there that doesn't really make too much sense. So when I first saw it, what I got the impression was that they were just bringing her along to be nice and not leave her like crying and sad
Stranded.
on
Yeah.
right. And like, come with us and we can teach you. You can see what it's like, and then maybe, like you said, be a drag mother.
I thought the ending was a year later or something. Like,
I think it is.
Is
yeah,
it?
I think so.
I
Okay,
think
that
it's a
makes
year.
so much more sense because I was gonna say it doesn't, because why is she winning if she wasn't?
I think they went and they won because they're not gonna just let Chi-Chi win. They gotta go win first, and then they'll raise her up for a year and then let her spread her wings and fly. Spread your wings and
You think
okay.
so? Because I wish they would have clarified that, because it does read as if like they left the town and went right here, because
Yeah.
it's literally the next shot.
Because she did so much growth in the little town.
Right.
Right.
No, I feel like I'm assuming it's a year later. Like,
Okay.
I do really love that and Noxeema, they do not compete against one another.
no.
They lift each other up. They are equals, they are partners, and they never say a bad thing about one another. It's all about being supportive of their
Yeah.
other.
I mean, they're basically like, it's like a sister
Yes.
relationship. And that's again really cool. And there's so many ways that they could have made that into a storyline, and it would have just been like, it would have detracted from the main point of the film. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was very smart. Again, this movie is written so well.
It really
Yeah,
is.
it is. I like that the title for the movie came from an autographed picture of Julie Newmar that Bean saw on the wall of a Times Square Chinese restaurant in the mid 1980s. He said Wong Foo is meant to be a metaphor for God, because you have to thank God for everything. You have to be grateful for life. You just have to stop where you are and say thank you for everything. A scene was filmed where the characters provide more context, but it was deleted.
I feel like that should have been included, though.
Yeah. And this Wong Foo person is like a real person.
Yeah, he was the head bartender at the China Bowl restaurant on West 44th Street, east of Broadway, and it actually closed in 93. But the walls of the restaurant were covered with headshots of famous actors and actresses who had stopped by.
Which is so cool. So
Yeah,
cool.
I do think that as much as I love this movie so much, I do think a little more context wouldn't have hurt for considering it is the title of the movie.
Yes.
And it's such a long one too.
And I do think that kind of hurt it a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. I think that's kind of because if you just say the title, there is no way you are gonna understand what this movie's about.
No,
at
nothing.
all. At all. And I do think statistically titles that are a little more original kind of sometimes hurt the movies, because as much as I love it, someone being like, what, To Wong Foo Thanks for everything Julie knew. Okay, like, and but that's why everyone now just calls it To Wong Foo. No one ever says like the whole title.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just so funny, like, how many people probably don't even know who Julie Newmar is at this point in
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because it was even a dated reference for
Then,
when the
yeah.
movie came out.
Absolutely.
They
well,
could have
for our
well,
generation, but that generation, like, who they
The
we
age
all
of the
watched
characters,
Yeah.
Batman,
yeah.
they know who
Yeah.
she is. And you know, I didn't know what time period I was living in, so I knew who she was.
But, you know, it's true though, because like, even when they try to explain who she is, it's literally an ADR line of Vida being like, "And you were the only Catwoman." But it's off,
Yes.
like, it's just you only hear him say that. So it's like, if you miss that, you really don't have any idea what's
And
going on.
I disagree,
Same.
because it's always
Eartha
oh,
Kitt.
yes.
Oh,
Even
I
though
thought
I
you guys were
know
both saying you disagree with me. I'm like, wait, what did I say?
no.
No, we
I mean-
disagree with Vida.
I mean,
Oh yeah, Eartha Kitt all day.
I have to give Julie Newmar her props, because she was a bad bitch.
Yeah.
And if she didn't come back, and it was like a random reason why she wasn't able to come back to the show, why Eartha Kitt got the role. But still, all in all, nobody goes "Rawr" like she does.
Oh yeah. I
How'd
mean,
you
yeah,
not?
Julie Newmar was a bad bitch, but even in the end of this, we see she still was a bad bitch, like
Yes.
looking good. Oh, and also a fun thing, it's not really a big point, but Naomi Campbell's in this movie for like 2 seconds.
Oh my God. So yes, they get into the restaurant, and Noxeema, girl, you are insane.
Were they dating?
You know what? I'm not sure. Wesley has dated a lot of people, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Wesley?
I don't know, because it was so cute. It felt so inside baseball in that moment. I'm like, oh, do you guys like know each other? And it was like a cute little thing. But she basically says, "Oh, I wish I was as pretty as you," and then he goes, "Good luck," or something like that. Oh,
I
So
see a lot of pictures with them together.
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, then they must have maybe, or just really good friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
So
Oh.
we see them inspired by Julie Newmar. They trade in their plane tickets for cash, and they buy a 1967 Cadillac, and they decide to drive across country. So now they're on a little road trip, girls trip, but it doesn't last long. Their car breaks down in a very small conservative town of Snydersville. And they are first encountered by a very bigoted sheriff
Mhm,
who first tries to sexually assault Vida.
mhm.
And when he reaches up her dress, apparently the reaction he has is very real, because Patrick Swayze stuck a corn cob up his dress, so that Chris Penn really had something to feel when he reached up there.
I'll give you something to feel, my
Wow.
baby.
And then
But
prior to them being pulled over, we do learn a little bit of Vita's backstory
yes.
of how she was shunned from her family and disowned, and that she originally did come from a very wealthy family. By the way, that neighborhood, oh my gosh, I wish I could live somewhere that nice.
Same.
Right?
Oh my God.
Same.
And in addition to Chris Penn being a disgusting human being, he's also blatantly racist to both
Yes.
Noxeema and Chi-Chi in the car.
Yeah.
And to which Chi-Chi says one of my favorite lines in the movie, "Vida, talk to the man, you speak honky." Like, oh my God. Amazing.
I really do love this scene in general, because it talked about so many things in such a short time
Oh
frame.
yeah.
You know, it shows how scared they were.
Mhm.
Like, if I show my license, it's going to show me as a man, and
Yeah.
in this situation, that's scary. And you
Mhm.
know, that could speak even to the trans community, what that's like, especially legally, if they're not allowed to change their name and gender, like on their driver's license and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then speaking to the racism, which, like, any Black person could tell you, driving through some of, even like some parts of Pennsylvania, even in some parts that, you know, everyone just thinks the Bible Belt. There's a ton of places across the country where you just have to be so prepared, because you just never know. And so you see the privilege of Vida being a white man, but still having the layers of
Right.
every
Mhm.
time
Absolutely.
you're checking off a different situation for
Yeah.
all of them. And I think it's crazy that I'm like, y'all don't know how to check if someone's dead.
And also, like, you just pushed him and he fell on his
Right.
own. He didn't hit his head on like a metal bar or anything. He
You
just
didn't
fell
whack
on
him
the
with a bat.
Exactly. You didn't whack him with that corn cob. Like, there's nothing.
Exactly.
Like, come on, come on.
It was crazy, but they are all trying to figure out like if he's dead, and they decide to leave him, the sheriff who is passed out. Of
Mhm.
course, in the midst of everything, Chi-Chi loses
Her
her
shoe.
shoe. So I just love how this movie is really Cinderella,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
She leaves her glass slipper. I don't remember if this situation happens before or after that. Another thing, I think this happens after, because before they need to rest. They've been trying to
Mhm.
drive through, right? And now they're
Oh, yeah.
like,
They go to a
this is
budget host. Yeah.
yes, and this is the first moment that you could tell that there's like a legitimate fear of
Yeah.
like traveling. Again, because they're still in drag, which is that's where I'm like, this is weird. Why are they still in drag
Right.
driving cross
Also,
Right.
country?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How far is it from New York City to Pennsylvania?
Maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on what
So
part.
we have to drive 2 hours and then rest overnight?
I feel like they got they were well, remember they threw away their map, so we have no fucking idea where they've gone at this point, but they
So
had been
it says
driving
it
straight.
says it's a 3 hour. I pulled up the facts. I'm basically like Wade and Kim Possible. It's 3 hours and 34 minutes from New York to Pennsylvania.
They haven't been driving very long.
But I don't know if they're still in Pennsylvania. I know we saw that
Okay.
he went to his parents' house, but that was
Right,
daytime.
and then they
Now
left.
it's nighttime, so they've probably gone a few hours now. And
At least 6 hours, yeah.
yeah. So I love that again, Chi-Chi has no fear
And
whatsoever.
right, and it's very admirable. It really
It
is
is.
because she's and it's funny, and I didn't really think about it till now, but it's like, Vida and Noxeema are both like, we need to teach her, but she is kind of teaching them a little bit to be
She
less
is.
afraid and be more yourself and like
Yes.
not, and I think that's cool.
And
Oh,
I love that. Oh, go ahead.
Google AI says it's Snydersville is in Nebraska. So I feel better now.
Oh,
They
Okay.
traveled quite a ways.
wait, math. Okay, so Pennsylvania is okay. New York, Pennsylvania's here. And then
They went, I
Nebraska.
don't know, I just know they went west.
Hold on. Okay. Now Nebraska. I need
North of
another map.
Texas. North of Texas.
North. Okay, wait. Texas.
Now I have to look at a map to make sure I am.
No, this ain't Texas. Ain't no
Hold
Nebraska.
them.
So they go to that hotel and they're greeted randomly, and they're like, "Oh, we've been waiting for you. Your group is here." And they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Turns out there's like a women's basketball like meetup
Which
or reunion.
I love, because what a fun little shout out to White Men Can't Jump. I think that was so cute.
I love Noxeema's full outfit, and that she is just like
braids.
With the braids.
Yeah.
Oh,
But if these are women basketball players, it's hard for me to imagine that they would not be more competition. They were very
Yeah.
lackluster.
and then we
So
get that high kick from him, which is fabulous. And then I just love, see, it's just these little things that he does where he like fully he just gives it his all. Like when he walks after he scores the basket. Is that what I'm gay, I don't know sports.
we don't
and
know.
We don't either.
when he shoots the hoop, when he gets it in there, and then when he's walking away, like he does this little strut and he's like swinging his hair back and forth, and it is just like, it's so genius. And again, like, oh, it's so good. I could gush about this movie all day.
One of my favorite scenes, and we'll get to it in a few minutes, but when he is following behind the old lady and like calling after her.
I'm a coming. I'm a get you.
Top
my God.
notch.
Yes, the best. And that's what I'm saying. Like when I first watched it, I think I was just so like captivated by Chi-Chi because she was just so outrageous and just so like
Yes.
larger than life. And then and then as I got older and I really learned more about each of these actors, and then I was watching, I'm like, wow, Wesley Snipes is just, I mean, for me, like if I had to pick one person, I personally would pick Wesley Snipes to be nominated for an Oscar. They're all fantastic, and I'd be happy if any of them did. But like that transformation is just like, I think, one of the best performances of all time.
I could not agree with you more. 100%. He killed it.
He did.
But can we talk about the fact that Chi-Chi has lucky girl syndrome? But besides the fact that she loses the competition, but she gets to the hotel and they are automatically welcomed.
Mhm.
They
break down,
they
and then
break down.
that's when they have their first real fight, and again, it's hilarious, and I think Vida is definitely being tested by Chi-Chi, and so she obviously turns to her framed picture and is just praying for a miracle and praying for help. And then Chi-Chi storms off and she says, and I quote, "I'm the Latina Marilyn Monroe. I got more legs than a bucket of chicken."
I love that. And I also love that in this scene, this, like, it's one thing we did miss is that the two of them, we learn, have no idea what they're doing training a young Chi-Chi, their Padawan. They have no idea.
No
And
idea.
so they're just making shit up as the flies. So they tell
And
her
that's
there's
right,
like
that is before that.
4 main things that she's going to have to accomplish to
Right.
be able to become a full-on drag queen. So
Because
that
she's a
is
drag princess now, not a
right.
drag queen.
Because they kind of dragged her for filth about like her being a sheen version of their whole aesthetic.
Yes, and Chi-Chi's not happy to hear that, so she threatens to leave, and she gets about 12 feet. And then, yeah, they tell her, you gotta learn, and for right now, we'll just call you a drag princess, which she's very happy about. And you're right, they're very much just clearly making this stuff up as they go because their goal is just to get her back in the car so we could get to where we need to go. But the fighting between Chi-Chi and Noxeema is it's just never not funny. Like, the little
So good.
digs, oh, so funny.
And then going back to Chi-Chi's lucky girl syndrome,
Mhm.
she takes one of those fried chicken legs out and
Mhm.
she gets her a man. Now, I
Which
don't know
yeah.
which London boy is this, Jeremy or
Jason.
Jason? Okay, it's
Which
Jason.
one's the crazy?
Is there one crazy?
The
I
one
just
that was like
Yeah.
arrested
Yeah.
and stuff.
Oh
Yeah, he did
shit!
that whole thing when he did an interview and he was like a little cuckoo banana crackers.
I can only okay. Let me tell by their roles because I don't know which one. Okay. Oh, so the crazy one's an out cold. Interesting. So
So who's
Jason.
this one? You said which one is this one?
All right, so Jason London, who has problems. I don't want to say crazy. That's not nice, but
Yeah.
he's had some issues. He's the one who's in Dazed and Confused, The Man in the Moon, Out Cold, Rage, Carrie 2, Jason and the Argonauts, Dracula 3 Legacy.
My favorite movie of all time.
It's starting to go downhill. Okay, so those are his movies. Now, Jeremy, I'm gonna say Mallrats, The Babysitter, Party of 5.
Mhm.
He was on Seventh Heaven. I don't know why I wanted to bring that up, but he was. And Journey to the Center of the Earth.
I've smoked pot.
Yeah. Yes. Anywho, okay, so we're dealing with Jason London in this one.
Okay.
That's the good. Yeah, that's the good London.
Is
Jeremy.
it?
Yeah, Jeremy was arrested for domestic violence.
That's what I was talking about. He went
Yeah.
off the rails.
Jeremy was the Mallrat Seventh Heaven.
Damn, Seventh Heaven.
Hold
back
on,
at it again.
hold on. But this one says, oh, Jason London was arrested for public intoxication.
So it's a twin thing. Okay. They both need help.
Yeah.
Poor babies. We don't know their backstory.
Yeah.
You don't
We
know
don't.
my life.
So yes, but Jason London plays Bobby Ray.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
he is immediately smitten and coming to Chi-Chi's rescue
Yes.
as the bully kids are ganging up on her in the town.
Well, oh
Well,
wait.
Bobby Ray
so-
picks him up
right.
from picks
The
up
side of the
Chi-Chi.
road. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then they go get the rest of the
Mhm.
crew, and then they take them. He takes them back to the town,
Mhm.
Right.
and there is one man, of course, in the town that can fix the car. So he screams for him,
Virgil.
stalker Virgil, to
Yeah.
you know, to let him know that he
The
needs to go
wonderful
get the car.
Virgil. Yes.
And just so happens that Virgil is the mechanic, and he also owns the Airbnb.
Well, it used to be called a motel.
Right. And so now they're very worried because
Mhm.
they're not sure. They're in a small town.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to be found out? And so I love that they get to the room. They're like, it looks like a shack in here, but okay, we'll make do. The three of them decide to share a room, which is another safety situation.
Right, of course.
And I love how they're like trying to dim the lights. They turn the lights up, like they
Because
do
it's
not.
nothing but overhead lighting.
Right.
That's a big no-no. That's a no-no.
And so we meet Virgil, and then we meet
Carol Ann,
Carol Ann, who is his wife, and
the
she
amazing
is
stalker Channing.
down bad.
So good.
It's such a stark comparison to her in First Wives Club.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're like, do you guys have anything a little more hospitable? And she's like, this is the presidential suite. And then Chi-Chi's like, must have been one of those bad presidents. Oh, why is she me? Oh,
It's the Ronald Reagan suite, the
oh,
bane of all of our existence. Why
Yikes.
we're in the scenarios we're in today.
Yikes.
100%.
Okay, so it's the next day they wake up, and
Yeah.
that's when they go outside, and all the townspeople are kind of just very
Gathered.
curious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Virgil brings the car, he tows the car in, and he
Mhm.
tells them that he can't fix the car right away, that it's going to he has to order a part.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck are we gonna do here? And what I don't understand is, yes, I know it's the 90s, and so a lot of people don't know about drag queens or drag queen culture, but I know a 6'4" man in a dress
Right.
if I see one. Like,
Well,
They try to justify it a little bit, though. They try to make it
Yeah.
like a super backwater town, like a super rural, like probably has one phone in the whole town type of place. So, I mean, yeah, you kind of do have to suspend your disbelief for a little bit, which is fine for me. I mean, I buy it. I do, especially for the time it's set. Now, this movie, it wouldn't work. But yeah.
I love
like
how
I feel like yeah. But also
And I
Carol
think she
Ann
kind
at
of,
the end, it
yeah,
reveals like she clocked it immediately and she
yeah,
just
she knew
didn't
the
give a
whole time.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they're good old values that they're not going to like be rude. Is that what it is?
Yeah. And it's also like, and I also do think, maybe I'm the only one, but I feel like Chi-Chi passes as a woman for
Yeah.
me. I do think John Leguizamo in drag does look like a woman. I mean, like convincingly
Yes.
as a, as what they're
Yes.
saying what they are. I would buy John Leguizamo. I not so much Swayze or Wesley Snipes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you know.
Well,
Yeah.
and John Leguizamo went on a vegetarian diet for 6 months before shooting in order to lose muscle mass and have a more feminine physique.
I think it definitely translates. And like I mean, they're all, this sounds so weird, like they're all gorgeous, but like even in this shot, like he's a babe.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. But and then I think, is that when they're fighting and Noxeema goes, why do I feel like I'm in the Macy's Thanksgiving parade? And John Leguizamo quickly just says, because you're as big as a float. God, brilliant. Brilliant.
At this point, they're all getting to know the townspeople. I love how the men and the women just automatically separate. And so we find out that Blythe Danner's character is secretly in love with the only Black man in town, and he's in love with her. I don't know what's taking them so long to be together.
I know.
But
So she's kind of like the town gossip. She gives them the tea on
yes.
everybody. And she's ruthless. She'll just say it exactly how it is.
Then we have Loretta, who's just kooky. I always remember her from Speed, and she's in a lot of Sandra Bullock movies because
She's
Sandra
in
Bullock.
so much stuff. Beth Grant, I
Yeah.
think is her name. She's in so much stuff.
And
I have to get off the bus.
We also have, I don't know which actress plays the role, but the local hairdresser, she's around as well.
Right. And she's giving me Goldie Hawn. But yes, I think she looks like, it's crazy. But and then
Clara.
also one of the and Clara.
Yeah.
Sweet
So
Clara.
sweet innocent Clara.
Who supposedly doesn't talk.
Yeah,
Right.
she's mute.
Right.
They think she can't hear.
Right.
But we find out later she's just very select who she talks to.
Yes.
And you can see in that scene that Noxeema takes an instant interest in her.
Yes.
And then also I couldn't believe it because I was rewatching it again and I'm like, one of the men in town is Michael Vartan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, you look not well. You're not. I mean, I think the role that I fell in love with Michael Vartan was Alias.
Yeah. I feel like that's everybody.
Yeah.
Because if you say it's Never Been Kissed, it's like, well,
we have issues. And Monster-in-Law, I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, he's hot in that, I'm not gonna lie. But again, I've come off very thirsty this episode. Let me just say, like, I'm fine. I'm okay.
We're all thirsty. That's all right. We all got a little thirst in us.
Just listen to my our Go episode, because I just go on and on about Timothy Oliphant as the dirty, like, drug dealer who's so fucking hot.
So now they're like, okay, we're stuck in this town. We got to figure some shit out. And they've all been partnered. It seems like they're partnered with different people, because Vida is with Carol Ann and Noxeema is figuring out Clara. So
Can
like
you
we
do
talked
a
about,
little bit of Noxeema following Clara again? Because it just made me so happy.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a coming. I'm a get you. And then she goes, girl, did you just do a Yui? Oh my God. So good.
because Clara has this big old scrapbook and she drops like a picture, and the gossip queen tells everybody that her husband owns like a movie theater or something like that. And they were around like all the biggest movie stars at the time. And then her husband died. And it turns out that she just has a plethora of like just artifacts from that time period. And so Noxeema just goes on a tangent talking about like Dorothy Dandridge, and then they go back and forth of like naming all of Dorothy Dandridge's movies, and that's when we learn that, you know, she could talk. I do love that Noxeema doesn't like act crazy about it. She just kind of goes with the flow when she starts talking.
It's a very sweet scene. It's very sweet. And I do think it's like one of the more heartfelt moments in the movie. And you're right, I absolutely love it. They just get along, and then she asks if she wants to do Lena Horne next, and you can just it's just so sweet, and it's just adorable. And again, like, knowing, like, if you're watching this for the first time, you wouldn't think that this is where it would go.
Right.
You know? It's cool.
And Bobby Ray is, you know, following Chi-Chi around, and Chi-Chi is just out in the streets, just walking around, and she's getting cornered by all of it. It gets very scary for a second.
I don't particularly love this scene, and I also kind of don't think it needed to be in it, because it kind of makes it, it's like, how are we supposed to root for them later then? Like, no, it's just kind of, I get the ick.
Like, what are their intentions? It's
and
just,
again, you don't know because nothing really happens, and but then again, it's like, it was in there for a reason. Like, you were supposed to infer what you think's gonna happen, and then it's like, okay, so then later when they're all dancing, we're supposed to go, yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Like,
why is there so many like attempted rapes in this movie?
Right. Oh my God, it's true. And so that I will say, like, if I was the editor, I'd be like, we didn't need this scene. Let's get rid of that.
Like, the danger could just be that they're being found out, or physical violence.
Well, because it gets really intense to where they all like get like surround her like this. Just like, it didn't need to go that far. I think it kind of just detracts from like what you're trying to do in terms of like the town as a story. But isn't that when Bobby Ray shows that the Coca-Cola ad, instead of gotta love that Coca-Cola, it's gotta love that Chi-Chi.
Which in certain communities, we know what Chi-Chi could stand for, and that makes it funny. Yeah, when you think about it, we have multiple rape attempts, you know, a lot of violence, and there's domestic violence, because we find out Carol Ann, but Virgil is really beating the shit out of her, unfortunately.
And for that, like, it's horrible to watch. I understand why that is in the movie because it's definitely paralleling Vita's own upbringing with her father and the abuse she encountered with him.
Yeah.
And it's like she can be, I don't want to say like a knight, but can relate to her. And then that's how they build their friendship. And even though it's not the best thing to build friendship on, it definitely shows that like some issues are not gender specific or orientation specific. It's happens to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So I love that they bring a breath of fresh air to the town. We get, a wonderful makeover scene with the
Yes.
ladies.
Yes.
They also like decide they're supposed to have like a strawberry festival, and they kind of take that over too to like
Mhm.
zhuzh it up a little bit to make it
Yes.
more fun. And so I love how it's like literally overnight they're changing the theme, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, we can have this done by tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, it's so sweet. And again, I love the 60s aesthetic. So the way that they find all those old clothes that are from the 60s not only makes Noxeema like hyperventilate, but
Right.
it's just so cute and fun to watch each of them have their little makeover and kind of I mean, it really is like when
Just
you see them come into the town, everything is drab and dreary and
Yeah.
beige and just no life. And it's like the minute these queens come in, you see little by little these changes happening.
Yeah.
The
the
exteriors are
town,
getting more colorful. Yeah.
yeah, as their time in the town goes on, they bring like life back to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And meanwhile, the not dead sheriff is
Sheriff Dullard.
on a hunt for whoever belongs to this size 12 stiletto. And so they are unknowingly being pursued by this incredibly racist, bigoted
Yes.
cop, rapey cop.
Mhm.
And so the bulk of the movie is really just about the relationships they form with the people of the town,
Yeah.
which is just, I love that. I love that Veda gives Carol Ann more confidence and like just she breathes life back into her, and you
Mhm.
don't have to, you can stand up to Virgil, you can be your own person, and you don't have to take his shit.
Yeah.
And then Chi Chi, even though Bobby Ray is enamored, she realizes it's not the place or the time for this.
Right, because like what happens is that Vida and Noxeema are like, you are leading this young, impressionable boy on. It's one thing if
He
he
knows.
knows,
Yes.
right? Or you have a conversation with him, but
Right.
he doesn't know, and that's not
Mhm.
right. And then we find out Carol Ann's daughter, or her oldest daughter, is
Bobby
like
Lee.
Bobby
Yeah.
Lee is in love with him. So there's that layer, because while Chi Chi is chasing him, Noxeema and Vida are Vida really is having conversations with Bobby Lee, trying to help her because she says
Yes.
she has this crush. So they have no idea Chi Chi is out here throwing salt in the game, essentially. So
Yeah, I never
there's,
clocked it that she's doing for Bobby Lee what she's trying to do for Chi-Chi. Like she's
yeah.
trying to help and it's funny that you said about like how they change how Chi-Chi realizes to be a little more selfless and I think Vita learns to be a little bit less judgmental and like in everybody's business. But
Mhm.
Noxeema was just like chill the whole time. Like she did not need to change. She knew
Yeah.
exactly who she was and stayed that way and it was fine. Like
You
there was
don't
nothing.
need to change perfection, you know?
There you go. That's all, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
But they do have this massive fight, Chi Chi, and there's some things that you can't take back, kind of thing. And I love that
Yes.
Noxeema is very kind of neutral, and just she has her little jabs here and there, but
Yeah.
she's saying to both of them, "Don't go there, don't do that."
Well,
Like
yeah, I
I
mean,
love her
yeah.
commentary during
Oh,
that.
absolutely. And it starts off with a fight with all of them, but they're mostly just telling Vita that she needs to leave the fighting happening alone, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I
Yeah,
understand why they feel that way because it can be very dangerous for them if they're exposed.
yeah,
But then you do hear like Noxeema finally tell Vita like you need to start minding your own business, you need to stop getting into other people's lives, like they don't want you in it, like just, and then of course Chi Chi just comes in with the jabs, like, you know, and it's brilliant. And you're right, like, and then Noxeema just takes a step back and she's like, okay, you guys calm down, and then they
Right.
just go at it, and it makes for a very, very entertaining scene.
And I think doesn't Vita's wig come off or something?
Mhm.
So then
Yeah,
it's just
'cause
like
yeah. And I
that.
think it flirts with something that I don't know if it touches on it enough. I feel like Vida is secure in herself, but then they keep adding these little things, like when she sees her mom at her house and she gets very hurt. And then when Chi-Chi says, like, you couldn't cut it as a man, so you had to put on a dress, and it like
Oof.
really does hurt him. And then right following that, the wig comes off and he like
Yeah.
Mhm.
grabs his face. So I always was curious as to like what they're trying to tell us with that. And I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
had any insights into that or what you guys took that as.
I mean, I think drag is an expression of an extension or an expression of who you are,
Yeah.
but you can't fully be your full self if you're hiding and running from another aspect of your
Mhm.
life
Yeah.
that you're not dealing with.
Hmm.
So you could be in drag, you could be in fully in this life, but you can't use it as a way to hide. That's not the point of it, you
Ooh,
know?
I
Right.
got chills. Yes. Yes. No, seriously, that was very well said.
Thank you. So it's nice to see that even a veteran like Vida, like you were saying, that Chi Chi has taught herself. I think
Yeah.
everyone that she's interacting with has taught her a
Yeah.
lot. Even,
Mhm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I know we joked about Noxeema not learning or not changing too much, but I think her experiences with the town does, and
Well, I
even
feel
with
like
Chi Chi,
she's so, because she clocks everybody right away. Like she
yeah,
knows who everyone is. She knows how they're gonna act. And she really is like the wise one of the group. And I mean, she definitely does have her own storyline, obviously, you know, with
yeah,
Clara and everything. And but I feel like she was kind of like the one who was just like you we were made to feel like Vida is the one in charge, but I really
Mhm.
think it was Noxeema. I think she knew, like, she was like, I'll just let them figure it out. Like, I got this. Like, they'll figure it out. It'll work out.
and you know what? Like in a weird way,
Yeah.
I think that that thought process kind of tracks because I think this is a conversation that happens when we are talking about the trans community, when we talk about white trans women, because you were raised as a white male. That means sometimes you're not seeing all the layers
Mhm.
because you're at the top of privilege, essentially, as how you were raised. So
Right.
when you come into the community, when you come into the community of womanhood, you do have to grapple with some of the misogyny that you unfortunately may have learned
Right.
when you were being raised.
Yeah.
And I think that is a conflict that we're seeing in some of the conversations. And the same could be said for Vida, that
Absolutely.
the reason that Noxeema is able kind of to like clock things so quickly
Yeah.
is that when you are living in this world as a Black person, there are so many layers, especially
Mhm.
like as a Black woman, you're at, like, if you're looking at a totem pole, you are perceived as at the bottom, which means that also that you are seeing so much more. Your lens
Hmm.
is just so
Right.
much more open.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Noxeema kind of is like a great representation to being able to like see that she is not coming in with her. She has to walk a different
Yeah. I
road.
mean, I feel like you
Mhm.
said, like, she sees everything.
Yeah.
And not even to be funny, but like even the picture you have behind you, it like focuses on her eyes and it's like she sees everything. But and then so the wig
She
comes off, right?
Well, and to expand upon that,
Yeah.
Noxeema also listens. That's
Yes.
why she's able to like build that friendship with Clara, is because
Hmm.
she just sits and listens.
Right.
She doesn't pressure her to do anything.
Never.
She doesn't make that snap judgment that like, oh, she can't hear anything. She's old, she's senile. Like she just wants to be present for Clara.
Right. And yeah, and I feel like Vida is very stubborn and she's
Mhm.
very headstrong and she's just like, I know what's best for everybody. And I think that's why Chi makes such a good foil to her because it's just like, you can't predict anything I'm gonna do. You can sit there and think you know me, but I'm gonna zig when you're gonna zag, and it's gonna annoy you.
Which is real life. What
I
happened to
know.
Patrick Swayze?
I know.
Yeah.
Literally. Oh my God. And then so that's when obviously she doesn't listen to them, Vida, and decides to just go and break up the fight. Thankfully, I think
Mhm.
we all would have done the same thing. And yeah, you can go ahead and describe. It's just so good. It's so good.
The fight scene?
Well, no, when Patrick Swayze walks in and says, I gather you like hitting ladies, and Virgil responds very grossly, some ladies need to get hit. And then, of
Mhm.
course, Patrick Swayze responds, well, some men need to be hit back, and just whacks him across the face.
Oh, I love it.
I love
Oh,
Noxeema and Chi outside with Carol Ann and
like
saying,
this, like looking, and then
yeah,
they close the door on them.
and
Oh my God.
also like she really works out.
A lot. A lot. Oh,
Like
it's so good.
really, I don't think Tybo was out yet, but that's what I
That
was.
Billy Banks, whatever his name is. And that's
So
like slowly building Carol Ann's confidence that like
yes.
you don't need to stick with this man that just abuses you and controls you in every little aspect of your life.
Right.
And so as they're nearing the conclusion of their stay in the town, it's now the Strawberry Festival. And they're out, everyone's in red, just having the best time. I die for Carol Ann's red bride outfit.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
It is so perfect on
It
so
is.
many levels.
Yes.
It's beautiful, but it's also giving Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Lydia,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sure. But
And
it's
then
really fun. It's
yeah,
super
Yeah.
cool.
so
I
much
love it.
fun.
I would have preferred pink, but that's just me.
It's the Strawberry Festival.
So the
baby.
sheriff comes and says, and basically spills the secret to everyone, like these boys in dresses, quote unquote. And then obviously that's when the wonderful Carol Ann comes in that iconic red ball gown, a wedding dress, sorry, veil, and literally just stands up and says, I'm a drag queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone's
And
like, I am a drag queen.
oh,
I'm getting chills right now just
I
thinking about
know.
that scene.
It's so cute.
And it
It's kind of like Dead Poet Society at the end when they're like, "Oh,
yes.
Captain, my captain," and they all just jump up to like on behalf of him.
Yeah. It shows that there's humanity and hope, and that not it's unfortunate that there's so many horrid people, but there are more decent people out in this world. I
Yes.
think
Right.
we don't always remember that.
Mhm.
And for the decent people out in the world, be brave.
Yeah.
Don't be scared, because
Mhm.
like then you let the very small population of just mean, horrible people represent everybody, and that's not the case. I think we are better
Yeah.
as humans than we like to, or that we
And
see,
and I think that scene does a great job of showcasing that. And again, like as a young kid who was very much aware that I was different, but didn't know really how to ever think about vocalizing it or whatever,
Mhm.
to see these people be accepted, and not only accepted, but defended, be defended
Yes.
by these people and say, like they're one of us. Like we love them just as much as when we thought they were women,
Yeah.
right.
and it's very heartwarming. And again, it's because it could just be like, yeah, we accept you, but I think I like this movie for taking it further, where it's like, we're not only accepting you, but we're going to protect you, and we're going to
Yeah.
stand up for you, and we're going to speak up on your behalf. And again, for the time it was released, like it's so brilliant, and it's so of the time now. And I wish,
Mhm.
like, I feel like more people should check this movie out, because I do think it is very important. And like as you said, it's very reflective of like there are decent people out there, and maybe spend more time showcasing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I also love that it feels like she now has to explain herself to Carol Ann, and Carol Ann
Mhm.
kind of just cuts her off. She's like, Adam's apple. Ladies don't have Adam's apples. Like I've known all along.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I love you no matter who you are because of what you've done for me.
Right.
Mhm.
So I love that about it too. It didn't matter from the beginning
Right.
who she was. It was her character that
Exactly.
Carol Ann fell in love.
And super sweet. One thing that now I'm gonna do something petty after we just kumbaya the hell out of the ending of that. But when they
And
went,
thus the world is perfect. Thank you all so much. Life and love. Bye.
well, and that is To Wong Foo. We did it, y'all.
We did it.
We did it.
Now be petty.
Let's go to some extras that we missed. But here's my question: when they were
Yes.
when they found all the vintage clothes, and Noxeema was like, "Oh no, that's mine." In what world were these vintage clothes big enough for Noxeema?
You're thinking too hard.
I'm not.
Well,
because look,
we do. In the 60s, the very boxy shift dress was very in. So I'm sure there were a couple of pieces, as long
So
as
what
her
does she
shoulders fit.
what does she wear from that box other than the fringe? I feel like it was just the fringe outfit
it
and
was
then everything.
yeah.
Well, if you want, it doesn't really fit her that well. Like it's very short. And it's, I mean, because I'm just gonna say, like Wesley Snipes in this is like a full-on daddy. Like his body is insane.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
like I think it's fun. I mean, I don't think it fits him very well. And I think that's maybe intentional because like the skirt is like this big, and then like as you said, he's like this in it. And like, oh, it's so funny.
It was one of those situations where he was like, I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
speaking of which, of the costume designer Marlene Stewart said that she had the leads wardrobes, including shoes and corsets, all custom made for all
Makes
of them,
sense.
which
Totally.
is wonderful. And they all spent time in local drag scene researching their roles and were given a drag mentor to work with in
Oh, fun.
developing their characters. And there's a lot of interviews that talked about, again, just how committed every one of them were to taking this seriously and how welcoming and open they were to the drag community.
Yeah.
And that warms my heart.
I would have loved to have just figured out like what made each of them sign on. Like what was Wesley Snipes thinking of like just coming off of was Blade before this or after? Oh,
After.
after. But even before that, all his action movies and everything for him to like and even his agent to his publicist to his manager like and they were all like yes. Like I would have loved to have seen like his thought process as to why he wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And I think it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I think he's always up for a challenge. That
Yeah.
I think this would have put him in front of new audiences too,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
he's an action star, but like, we joke about being Black famous or, Black Hollywood. Essentially, this is a more of a
You think like a broader audience?
broader audience and potential like Oscar bait. I'm not gonna lie, in the 90s and 2000s, a lot of actors knew
Yeah.
that if they portrayed a gay character,
Yes.
that it potentially would have gotten them like nominations for awards and stuff
Oh, for
like that.
sure.
I'm
For
not
sure.
saying he's that shallow, but I'm just, that
But even
probably
then,
would,
he could have phoned it in and then been like, I want to do a serious movie. Because
yeah,
then if you're gonna do it, if that's why you think, you could win an Oscar,
yeah,
then do like a Brokeback Mountain or a Philadelphia type of story.
yeah.
Like this is like honestly, not only just because it's like, I mean, obviously this would be classified as an LGBTQ movie, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also just a funny comedy point blank. Like
Yeah.
it's just funny. And I feel like I, I don't know, I feel like it's probably the funniest movie any of these actors
Yeah.
have been in, for sure.
And
He
it
okay.
may have been like it's action or physicality in a different way. Like
Mm.
Yeah.
it was very physical, but not in an action star, I'm a vampire way or a white man can't jump, like sports
Right.
kind of way. It's a
Yeah.
very different type of physicality. And like just sitting in wardrobe for the amount of time that they had to was
Yeah.
extensive. And they even said that when they completed the film, they burned all of their costumes, their wigs, and the makeup because it took so long each morning to become women.
Yeah, join the fucking club.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, cry me a river.
You're right.
Oh, really quick, just a question for both of you.
Sure.
Was Noxeema's wig in the Strawberry Social giving Peg Bundy?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Oh, we missed the part where we fast forward to what we believe a year later.
Yes.
They are at the huge the Miss USA drag. I can't remember what
It's
it's
the
called.
Drag Queens Are Awesome Awards. Let's
Yes.
just yeah.
And this is where Chi Chi wins. She looks stunning. And
Stunning.
Julie Newmar, is in, gives the award. So that is pretty cool. And
It
I think
is.
that they had to reach out to her to use her name in the title, and she had to be convinced of it. But then
Mhm.
they worked hard to get her to be in the end, which was not like they didn't film that in California. I believe it was like some mansion in New Jersey.
Oh wow.
It's the old Westbury Gardens.
I mean, enough can't be said by how good Chi Chi looks in this scene. Like
No.
incredible. Stunning. And her hair,
Yes.
just everything. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I mean, Noxeema, I appreciate it. I love it. I
Look, Wesley
appreciate it.
Snipes is not a pretty woman. It is what it is.
No, I'm talking about the outfit. It's there. It's something.
It's giving Lion King.
It is. And then hers is giving Alice in Wonderland. So it's perfect.
Yes.
We're all doing
Yeah.
Disney.
Yes.
Yes, feathers and flowers. And
Mhm. I just noticed that her cowl thing is supposed to be a rose. I just picked up on that right now.
Well, and then
Hi,
there's
thank you
like
for having me.
leaves behind them.
yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
there
yeah,
was a
yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think
Because
they're all flowers.
Chi looks like, her outfit looks like Tinkerbell's outfit a little bit, like the top of it.
Maybe like a tulip or something.
Yeah, or like
Yes.
because at the bottom it's purple, I believe, like the inside.
Oh, an
of the bottom.
orchid.
That's what
She's
I was
an
thinking it was.
orchid.
I think so. So then what is Noxeema?
A
A
sunflower?
dandelion? A
Something.
dandelion? Oh,
Oh, a dandelion, maybe.
or a
Maybe.
chrysanthemum? Something like that.
We'll just keep naming flowers till
Yeah,
something sticks.
chrysanthemum.
A
That's my
marigold.
drag queen name, you guys, by the way.
Your
It's
chrysanthemum.
chrysanthemum.
Well, you know how we were talking about like the title was kind of ridiculous?
Yeah.
Advertising companies felt the same way,
Mhm.
and they wanted to change the title to A Shorter Ladies' Night or She's a Lady, but the movie managed to keep the original title, which I love that those names weren't used, because those two names suck, and it
Yeah.
doesn't, as much as To Wong Foo is weird, fine. Ladies' Night and She's a Lady just kind of, it feels diminishing. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I'm
it's
surprised they didn't suggest dude looks like a lady. Like,
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
I feel like it could have totally gone Tootsie, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
again, like I love this movie so much and I appreciate the title. I'm not gonna lie and say like if I were back in the marketing team back then, I probably would have said the same thing. Like maybe we should think of a different name, just maybe.
right.
But then again, it's like, what on earth would you call this movie? It's like
Dra-
there's no,
What about Drag Princess?
there you go.
Queens
Or
of
like
Nebraska.
drag, they're in a car and there's drag. There's a correlation there.
Right.
Yeah. What about like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift?
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at this point.
Going back to, they did ask Julie Newmar for permission, but they did not ask professional golfer Chi Rodriguez for permission. And they sued the production company and distributor over the use of his name in the film. And they eventually settled for undisclosed terms. Bro, come on.
Okay, but at that time, like the homophobia is skyrocket. Like,
Right.
I'm sure he's pissed. Now, here's the real question. Was it an accident? They just randomly picked a name because,
Oh no, absolutely.
or
It was
did
intentional.
somebody hate him?
Oh, I don't know if they hated him. I think they did it because, okay, I'm gonna be frank. I didn't even know Chi Rodriguez was a real
Me
person.
either.
until
Same.
You both said that.
Because sports.
Yeah.
Why would a drag queen name themselves after a professional golfer? Makes no
Like,
sense.
and not
Right.
make it more funny.
Yeah.
Right. But her name is just, but it is perfect for this.
It
like
is.
Chi. There's nothing else she would be named.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. That is strange. I don't know. I feel like, and then obviously Noxeema Jackson when she says she's Jesse's daughter, like hilarious.
So good. Ah, top marks.
If you need another reason to fucking hate McDonald's, a scene involving the drag trio dining at a McDonald's was scrapped after the company told producers they did not want to be associated with drag and with drag queen culture. And Coca-Cola agreed to product placement, and a billboard for the soda company is featured in that prominent scene. So Coca-Cola semi-good because I think they're still trying to kill us with their sugar. But, and also like, I'm not even going to get into it, but McDonald's, you suck. Love Danielle.
They weren't McLovin' it.
No.
That's all, folks.
And the writer Douglas Carter Bean originally envisioned the script as a stage play, but changed his mind when he realized putting a car on stage might not work. Good call. He
Yeah,
was
for sure.
inspired by an anti-gay propaganda film called The Gay Agenda.
You know, honestly though, I could see this being adapted into a Broadway musical.
It
I
was.
feel like
Yes.
it. Oh, it was?
Did it?
It sure
Oh.
was. That's why I think this is hilarious because I'm like, you just did it anyways. Y'all
Right.
have a musical. Yeah, there was a musical.
So, question for both of you. If
Yeah.
this movie were made today, and if you'd have to take the same thing, like action stars or traditionally very macho movie stars of today, like who would you cast as these characters?
Oh,
It's kind of
I would love to see Tom Holland as like a Chi-Chi Rodriguez character.
he would be so good. Like he's already
So
showed
good.
us when he did Lip Sync Battle.
Umbrella.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, that's true.
He is not afraid to go into that bag whatsoever. And I love that about him.
Anthony Mackie, I could see.
Oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
Like, I think he would do fabulous
Yes,
in
I
that
think
role.
I think he
I
would do
agree.
really
Anthony
well.
Mackie is a solid choice. I think even Don Cheadle would be pretty funny also.
I think they're too old now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jordan Fisher. I really like him, and he's a great singer.
Love Jordan Fisher so much. Maybe like Glenn Powell or
Yes.
Or I was going to say Zac Efron. Maybe not now
Yes.
that he fucked up his face, but
Let's not talk about it because it's
Poor
depressing.
baby.
It's so depressing. The most.
But I
gorgeous
could
man.
see like Zac in the
as
the
Vida, for sure.
Yeah.
What about the guy from Euphoria? He's so tall.
I don't like him.
Oh my God.
Jordy.
Jacob Elordi.
Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
I was making up names.
Jordy Velourdi.
Hammerschmidt.
Let me think.
You know who would be really funny? I don't know as who, but Max Greenfield Schmidt from New Girl.
Yes.
Can he be the new John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt?
There you
Yes.
go. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't even plan that. Oh.
He would be, that would be a perfect role for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who would be Carol Ann?
Florence Pugh. For
my heart.
You love her?
I love her so much.
She's so good. Or is she too young? Maybe she's too young.
I was thinking maybe like a Lily James.
Is
that her name?
Yeah, Cinderella.
I would have Blythe Danner come back, but play Clara's role now because she's older.
Oh, that would be cool.
I like that too.
That'd be very sweet. But I would have. Oh, but see, I want June Squibb. Oh, you know who okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. You know who I would pick as Vida, and I know you both are gonna go ick, but I feel like Channing Tatum would be really funny.
Yeah,
I really do.
I don't think that's ick. As long as you didn't say Justin Timberlake.
Ew. Bye.
Bye.
Exactly.
I feel like Channing Tatum has already shown he's ready to commit to whatever is thrown his way. Like when he came out as
Beyonce.
No, well, I can't. I think of my brain is shutting down. And This Is the End when he comes out as the guy all dressed in leather. What do you?
Oh yeah, in the jockstrap and is like just full on
like humping
like
Danny. Yeah. I'm like, I will watch this man in anything because he is fully committed to whatever role, no matter how small. The Gimp.
For sure.
That's what he was. The Gimp.
But no, Anthony Mackie, what a brilliant choice. That's so good.
That's a good one. Well, the script found its way to Mitch Kahn, then a development executive at Amblin Entertainment. Kahn passed the script along to his boss, Steven Spielberg, who loved it. Spielberg had his friend Robin Williams do a humorous cold reading of the script while on a plane, which mesmerized the director. So I love that he was a part of it from jump. And also the director gave birth to her first child on the last night of filming. Noah is listed in the crew credits as best baby.
Oh my God, how cute.
which is super
Love it.
adorable. Before we get into our ratings rewind, Zach, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social?
You guys can find me on Instagram at the Mighty Zack or So Have You Seen That, and on TikTok at Zacky Quacky Tacky.
And as always, you can find us at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. And let's get into our present day ratings. We're going to start with you, Zach.
I would buy it and force all my friends and family to watch it every single day for the rest of eternity.
I would buy it as well. Jackie?
Same.
Oh, it makes our 2020
Employee pick.
Yeah, nice.
Woohoo!
Yay!
I love it when that happens.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my trademark. Yeah.
And if you have feedback for us and want to call in, dial 909-601-NMLF, 909-601-6653. Let us know who you would cast in a modern day retelling of To Wong Foo Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. Or why don't you share what a better title for this movie would have been? And you can be featured on a future episode. And if you want a cute looking little fidget that you can keep on you, it clicks, it spins, it's fantastic. I just gave my sister one for her birthday and she was ecstatic, used it nonstop. Head on over to conquerring.com. It will be in the show notes as well. Use the promo code Jackie10 for 10% off your first purchase.
And join us next week as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Dodgeball. Plus, come back later this week as we rank our favorite movies featuring drag queens with Zach.
Super excited.
And Zach, again, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. So I'll just stay here until you guys are ready for the next
Get
movie.
back in your
Yep.
cage.
Just wait. Wait right here. And once we do the wedding planner, we'll
Roll
make
you
sure
back
we'll
out.
come back.
Oh God, that'll be a long episode.
And as always, be kind and rewind. We did it.